All right, welcome back, everyone. We have our next run of Slurpathon 7. We have Sozeman running Mega Man Rock and Roll, and he will be joined by LV Creed on commentary. Um, introduce yourselves, guys. Good luck.
All right, I guess I'll go first. I'm Sozeman. This is Mega Man Rock and Roll. This is a fan game that came out towards the end of 2019. This is not a ROM hack. This is a fan game built from the ground up in Godot, however you pronounce the name of that game engine. This is a really cool game where you get to play as both Mega Man and Roll. But if you know anything about Mega Man fan games, they're usually pretty tough, and this game is no exception. So, disclaimer before I get started: if you see me die, it was intentional. Okay, it was planned. That's just what happens. And also, we've got LV Creed here on commentary.
Hello, everyone. I am the LV Creed here. I might have a little bit of something to do with this game, but we won't talk about that for now. We just leave that as a slight mystery. But this game is very, very fun. One of my top fan games, pretty much of all time. So I'm hoping that we get a good showcasing of this game as Sozeman continues to do what is probably a pretty hefty category 100%. We'll explain as we go through the actual game, but I guess right now we should go ahead and get started. Want me to count you down, Sos?
Yeah, man, let's do it.
All right, so starting from three, starting on go. Three, two, one, go.
Oh, might want to hit the. There we go.
All right, so Mega Man Rock and Roll. One, so starting about the general premise of the lore, if you care about lore in Mega Man games, the deal is there's this mysterious battleship or general structure out in the ocean that has been kidnapping robot masters all over the place. As you can see, we got a pretty large number of cameos, starting with Fireman, Honey Woman, Skullman, which we saw earlier this morning, and another little created character, which we'll talk about as we see him. But yeah, these guys are actually pretty much snatching up robots and pretty much just causing chaos and mayhem, and actually catches Mega Man. And at this point, Proto Man and Mega Man. So Dr. Light's panicking, and all of a sudden, Rose steps up. So wanted to be designed to be a super fighting robot, and goes helps to save his brothers. So in the intro stage, you just pretty much getting the nuances for Mega Man. You know Mega Man, you jump, slide, charge Mega Buster, so jump and shoot man. But now you get to see Roll in action. Roll, the new playable character, has a little bit some minor differences in Mega Man. Most notably, she has a double jump. The double jump isn't quite overpowered, as you don't get that high of a double jump, but trust me, when I say it's not overpowered, it is overpowered. You'll, you'll see what we're talking about as the game progresses. But otherwise, the intro stage is just basically an intro to the mechanics of how you play as both Mega Man and Roll. So otherwise, fairly simple, very straightforward, very long and annoying to reset through when you mess up through the entire game going through the intro stage. And again, it's kind of like Mega Man 7 vibes, not wanting to sit through or play through extra intro stages on a reset. But yeah, in a moment, Sozeman should be pretty close to done with the stages, and we actually get to 8 robos. So with eight robos, you have the option to choose either Mega Man or Roll for each of the 8 Robot Master stages. So for the entire 8 robos, we're gonna be playing as Roll the entire time. Roll's double jump is just way too good for these stages compared to Mega Man. So while Mega Man does have the Charge Buster and theoretically makes bosses faster and he is a little bit tougher, Roll takes a 1 ticket extra damage compared to Mega Man. The iframes of each of the robot masters just makes it easier to just pot buster shots, so the damage rate you can do on enemies is really no different if you just use role. So we started with Doom Woman here. Doom Woman is kind of a bit of a debate on whether you want to start with Doom Woman first. Her stage is very straightforward. You really don't need much weapons to go through the stage as a whole. The real argument is with Doom Woman herself. Doom Woman is probably the worst case of RNG amongst the 8 robot masters, in which fighting with the Buster, it can be really, really insane with the amount of patterns she can dish out at you. But as you can see, Sozeman is just using the power of the double jump just to skip a whole bunch of general platforming that Mega Man will probably be doing on his own. And in a few moments, we're going to be going to the Doom Woman fight, and you can see how crazy the fight is going to be.
It's really hard fight to Buster.
Yeah, because one of the things that Doom Woman does, she has 2 things that you really don't want to see her do often. One, you don't want to see her go to the sand as so often. You want to see her shoot her sand bullets. She can do a maximum number of specific attacks twice before she goes into the sand. So you don't want to see her go to the sand too often. Also, you saw her go to the air. That is her Desert Storm attack. You don't want to see her do that way too many times. You can probably get her up as she goes up into the air, but if you get caught by that, you get sucked up into the air as well, and you hang there for quite a moment of time before you come back down. Right now, it looks like it's probably about average RNG. You gotta forgive me, I am getting a little bit of stuttering here and there, but I'm pretty sure I'm catching up well. How's the fight going? So
I didn't take a hit, miraculously.
yeah, the fight is actually pretty chaotic.
That's a pretty prominent reset point right there.
As a reminder, we do have some incentives yet still to meet. Make sure to check those out on the incentive sheet here. Great run so far, doing a great job. I am going to throw a question your way, LV Creed. There will be a theme to this. What did Steven Tyler call his cookbook?
I dislike you for this.
The answer is Walk This Way.
Why am I being subjected to this? Oh my goodness. But yeah, for Missile Man stage, you saw that Sozeman gone to the clouds for the early portion of the game. That's actually a hidden W tank. So we're gonna be using that W tank and we're gonna carry that throughout the entire game, not using it once until the very end game. You'll see what we're talking about in a moment. But otherwise, Missile Man stage, for being as simplistic as it looks, is a pretty high level execution stage, pretty much testing your general movement as far as sliding and jumping, and very, very much crazy stage to optimize. But yeah, to bring back earlier point, as Sozeman is getting close to an actual letter plate, Sozeman is doing 100%. So for 100%, the goal is not only to get the letter plates which spell out rock and roll, by the way, he's also...
I knew that was gonna happen.
Once stream catches up, I'll probably see what happens. But it looks like these foot holders, the foot holders are better than the ones that Mega Man 1, but you still gotta kind of be careful. These open air segments can be kind of brutal when you're trying to move at a pretty interesting clip. But yeah, for 100%, you're getting the rock and roll plate letters. You will get rewarded for getting both of them separate for rock and roll. But also, you saw those 4 robot masters that got kidnapped earlier in the intro stage? We need to find and beat them. So they are going to be major requirements for the end game. You're going to see as the game progresses how important they are, and they are necessary for not only the good ending, but they are part of the 100%. So so Missile Man stage going through the rest of the stage. It's just gonna be a stretch of trying to get through these pistons. Of course, you saw the pistons earlier. They're pretty much the main gimmick of the stage, but otherwise, you're just gonna have to, yeah, back it up and just quickly detonate those bombs before that piston comes back, and then you go to Missile Man himself. The Desert Storm, which is a very strong weapon, by the way, and one of the main reasons why Dune is first on this particular route, you're pretty much going to want to space yourself in such a way that you can hit Missile Man twice per Desert Storm shot. And it looks like we had ourselves a pretty good fight here.
Yeah, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, Missile Man is he's also a little bit of an RNG fest himself because he can go into missile form and be invulnerable at a time. He can do attacks that can negate those 2 shots from the Desert Storm, where he can go up into the air and dive bomb quick, or just start hopping around, and you can shoot it a little early, not knowing that. It's kind of a toss up on when you want to shoot your Desert Storms. You just probably want to just go full tilt anyway. So you get items per every 2 robot masters you defeat. You don't actually start with Rush Coil. Shoutouts to the Tango cameo in the back. But yeah, for your first 2 robot masters, you get the Rush Coil, and you actually get another set of upgrades for the next robot masters after you beat 4 and after you beat 6 robot masters, for a total of 3 upgrades. So
I like to think that. Oh, sorry. I was gonna say I like to think that little cutscene's there to remind you that Mega Man is actually still in this game.
Yeah, it's just a later consequence of roll being so good. Double jump just makes this game flow so much easier than Mega Man does. I mean, the Rush Coil does help in some instances, but if you got roll to use throughout the entire game, you're gonna be just using her throughout the entire game. But yeah, Tideman stage, extensive use of both the Desert Storm and the Blast Missile that you got from Missile Man. It's pretty much just a 2-weapon stage. It just makes this stage so much easier to traverse. But as you can see, Sozeman is still collecting letter plates, and we're just gonna... Tideman is just a relatively simple stage in general, but you do get a mid-boss, probably one of the more interesting mid-bosses in the game. You're gonna see... What you see a floating energy tank? Surprise! It's an anglerfish. Pretty much the upgraded version of the anglerfish from Mega Man 2, even fire out shrimps. And Sozeman did a really solid fight, a solid combination of Desert Storms and blast missiles. Just to know, since you're going to be using blast missile throughout the entire stage, you are going to be on a hard count for a blast missile. You need 7 blast missiles to defeat Tideman that's coming up, since blast missiles the weakness. So you need to keep solid count of your blast missiles throughout the entire game, well, the entire stage. And now we're going to fight actually one of the easier bosses in the game, even with Default Buster. Tideman's actually a relatively simple fight. It's just with the blast missile, the fight just becomes even easier.
Took a few hits, but we're alive. That's what matters.
Once again, with the stuttering on this feed on my end, I couldn't tell if you got the small fishes first, then the anchor. If you got that first, that's arguably the best pattern.
I just want to remind everybody that we're doing a great job with all these donations. Let's keep them coming. All funds raised go to the Alberta Children's Hospital as unrestricted funds. This means the hospital decides where and how to spend the money to ensure the dollars raised make the biggest impact possible. Thank you so much so far, everybody, for donating. Let's keep it coming. And I'll end this with a quick question for you, Creed.
Oh, mercy.
What do you call a gingerbread man with one leg?
A cripple?
The answer is Limp Biscuit.
Oh, mercy. Son of a limp biscuit. But going on to Drake Man stage, who is next on the block. Once again, lots of blast missiles. Blast missiles is really good in the game. Just pretty much just going to do just a storm and blast missile. You're gonna see that quite a bit, and even shield bubble, which we just got from Tideman, is a really strong weapon, a strong defensive weapon, a strong general weapon. The shield bubble can actually take 6 general hits, regardless of enemy or shot, before it disperses, and it just plows through some obstacles like the small fire planes that shoots across the floor. And it's just an overall strong weapon. But one of the most important things about Drake Man stage is actually this is going to be the first area where we're going to be doing one of our major requirements and fight one of the kidnapped and of course reprogrammed robot masters. So of course you saw firemen get kidnapped at some point. We're in the fire stage. Guess who we're going to be fighting? Come on, 3 guesses. Chat 3 guesses. And if you say anything related to water and ice, I promise I'm gonna. Okay, seriously though. But yeah, as you can see, use the blast missile, which is good because the route fits perfect. That you can just do this in one shot, and you can just go into this small little area of fireman stage, and that gives you pretty much a solid you're gonna be fighting. So yeah, fireman. One of the best things about the robot masters in these games, they actually have some extra attacks that you see, make them just a little more dynamic than what you expect their vanilla initial fights to be. So you probably see that at one point, Fireman is just going to be shooting flames across the ground. But also, this fight is Buster only. We do not have his weakness. Some of the routing for the 100% run forces you to do Robot Master fights, the surprise Robot Master fights, without their weakness weapons. So, the Drake Man fight, once again, RNG a little bit. You want him to stay on top of the wall as much as possible to pop him with shield bubbles, then have him come down, and then hit him on the way down. But overall, pretty much it's a simple fight. 7 shield bubbles takes him out very quickly. The shield bubbles just negate all of Drake Man's fire attacks. It's just a pretty overall and solid fight on Sozeman.
That's one of the stages that I reset a lot in, by the way.
It's a very technical stage. Lots of general good movement, lots of weapon use with the 3 weapons you have on hand. It's a pretty daunting stage to do correctly. But yeah, once again we got 4 robot masters in, and now we get our next upgrade, and this one's role specific. So we got Beat Call, and this is one of the reasons why Roll is such a strong character in this game, because Beat is busted. Beat is busted in this game. The way he carries you is almost like you can get multiple jumps out of him, and once he carries you, you can actually reset your double jumps. So you can actually get you can do a double jump, call Beat, and get another set of double jumps for Roll, and that makes vertical movement insane. Yeah. Not to mention the fact that you can go over pits with since it's like his Mega Man 7 abilities, which tend to carry through him throughout the general Mega Man series. Just right then you can see Sozeman using B2 skip some platforming in Multipolar Woman stage, which is our next stage. So this is the power of the routing. So starting with Dune, you defeat enough Robot Masters to get Beat at this specific point where Beat just makes this stage nearly as trivial as possible. And of course, with a lot of shield bubbles along the way, you can just pretty much negate a lot of the weaker enemies, and the shield bubble just will plow through them all. So overall, it's pretty much just a straightforward stage. Nothing too important to note. Just utilize all your weapons.
Oh, my controller died for a second. I mean, that was intentional.
Oh wow.
I'm using an 8-bit dough, and it's got like a little home button on it, and I accidentally press it every now and then, and There's just so many things working against me in this run.
It's not an easy run. While I don't stream that much, I'm still working on 80%. This game is a brutal run, but it feels so satisfying when you get the runs going. The general movement and the general strategies for this game is just it makes for a very solid speed game, if not still rough. But yeah, we're coming up to Polar Woman. The fire breath, which is one of the neater weapons because you're literally breathing fire. You saw it in the weapon get preview, but yeah, the thing with Polar Woman, you want her to stay as grounded as much as possible. Looks like we got some little hearts that she fires. Another good pattern. But yeah, you do not want her to jump into the air. It wastes a little bit of time. It's a very fast attack, but you're not going to be able to jump quick enough to get her immediately. So you get a little bit of a time waste. And from there you get snow roller, which is a pretty decent attack. But I think it pretty much at this point you can tell. Do we have any extra donations here?
No donations. However, I do want to remind everybody that in addition to incentives, we also have a name war going on for the characters of Final Fantasy VI. So keep those donations coming. It's for a great cause. This has been an awesome run to watch so far. Thank you so much, guys. And I'll close this out with a quick question for you, Creed, as I usually do. What's an electrician's favorite band?
AC/DC.
AC/DC, because they're always current.
Moving on.
This...
We got Reactor Man. Basically, in your Force Beam stage, of course, the Quick Man vibes always haunt your memories in these kinds of stages. But honestly, the way that the stage is laid out, you can pretty much always Vitamins to dodge these lasers. They're always like a blocker in order to negate the beam's trajectory. There's always solid platforming. This is actually one of the more creative uses of the force beam gimmick in either official or fan-made Mega Man games. Even the disco balls that you see here, when they pretty much reflect all over the place when a laser beam hits it, it's a generally creative stage for a laser beam stage, but more importantly, this is another stage we're going to be fighting a robot master that was captured and reprogrammed. This one is Dagger Man. This one is actually based on another Mega Man fan game. Another one I recommend is Super Fighting Robot. This one is a very, very aggressive fight. And if you want to get things about theme nature, this guy is an RNG fest as well. We don't have his weakness, so he's going to be fighting him Buster only with a side of Desert Storm whenever he goes vertical to try to continue on pressing hits as much as possible, because normally, especially if you don't have Desert Storm, you do not want him to go into the air. These aerial attacks are very quick, and you don't have very many weapons that hit in the air in the entire game. But this was a very solid fight on Sozeman.
I was holding my breath. I'm gonna take the refill there. Oh, I thought it was gonna be health. Okay.
But yeah, for the remainder of the stage, it's just gonna be platforming throughout the rest of the stage, just trying to make sure that you're on point, not getting hit by the lasers. And the rest of the stage is just pretty much it. So we can talk about the upcoming fight. Reactor Man is probably another one of those very notable hard fights. One of the things about this game that each and every robot master hit like trucks. Each robot master deal about 8 damage, similar to Mega Man 4. But in Robo's case, it also, thanks to that extra point of damage, you're gonna have to deal with that extra bit of damage. And Reactor Man as a whole, even his lasers, they all hurt. He's one of those high mobility, highly random bosses that can just move all over the place very quickly. And with his variety of attacks, he can just be a nightmare to fight in a casual setting. But the Snow Roller makes it very easy. The charged Snow Roller can actually freeze him in place for a quick bit before he goes to his next attack. But to actually fight him faster, you need to do a little bit of a DPS race with the smaller snow rollers. A little bit of a fun fact: in older versions, you actually were able to stun lock him with the snow roller as a nod to Spark Mandrill for Mega Man X and how easy that fight was with the shotgun ice. But of course, by this time, that was removed, and he pretty much teleports instantly after getting hit with a charged snow roller. So this is an extremely dynamic fight. Also, by this point, you defeated 6 Robot Masters, and now you get Rush Jet.
Remember, Mega Man's in this game, guys. He's still a part of this game, believe it or not.
I should say, one of the notable things about this game is that it takes quite a bit of inspiration from Mega Man 11. As you can see, Sozeman has been using the weapon wheel, which was one of the things that were introduced from Mega Man 11. If you have like analog support, you can actually use the right analog stick to circle through the weapon, similar to that in Mega Man 11. Of course, you see the spider enemies, was also taken from Mega Man 11. And you actually got a button to summon either Rush or Beat, similar to Mega Man 11 with a single button. You press, at least in Mega Man's case, you can single press for Coil and double press for Rush Jet.
Shout outs to Mega Man 4 fans.
Yeah, we played that game a little earlier in this marathon. Skullman winds up being the special robot master in this case, who actually is a little more of an interesting fight. Of course, Sozeman has the blast missile, so we won't see how dynamic he is.
I'm gonna play it a little bit safe here.
So Ghost Woman is a pretty treacherous stage as far as platforming goes. As you can see, you've got those retracting spikes that you stand in the areas. A lot of trap mechanisms, and of course this has Yoku's. And of course, taking some notes from a little bit other games, of course, so Sozeman skips it. You actually have a small area where there's actually a Yoku spike in there. So a little bit for Trixie stage.
I'm gonna take the E-Tank here for marathon safety.
Shoutouts to another cameo here. Nightman training for his rematch against Yamato Man, who is in fact his weakness, Robot Master. So the Belfry, a combination of Desert Storm to attack the first 2 cogwheels.
Whoa!
And then just finished it off with the Desert Storm. Ooh, yeah. Good reaction time on that. Well, luckily for the game, there are 2 checkpoints in the actual stages before having a 3rd one in the boss checkpoint. So checkpoints are a little more sparsed out. These stages are actually pretty long, so having the extra checkpoint before having the usual checkpoint before the boss corridor, it's pretty nifty. Speaking of which, we're coming up to Ghost Woman herself. Ghost Woman, you want her to flash at the windows. When she flashes at the windows, that is the quickest point of where you can actually get, excuse me, her attacks in with her weakness, the charge laser. If she winds up trying to do what I like to call her shadow stalker, and when she stands in the shadows, just like here, trying to shoot her signature weapon, her soul trap, and trap roll in. Solid fight, by the way. So yeah, that is interesting reference there, Kaiser. Not quite what I would like to say. That's a little bit of a PG-13 kind of situation, but yeah, you do certainly want to get her by the windows.
That Kaiser Dragon.
So yeah, the Soul Trap is an interesting weapon. It's very good for weaker enemies, but you'll see why the weapon is kind of a bit interesting later on. But yeah, the roll plates, we got one of the requirements for 100% down, and your prize for getting all the roll plates is a jet jump upgrade, which is just a little bit of an extended jump when you do your second double jump. Of course, now that we get our final robot master, which is Beetle Lady. Shoutouts to Bug Puns. we're gonna get not only the final letter play, which is gonna spell for Rock and get his upgrade. This is gonna be our final play. Shout out to Plantman running away in the distance from the chaos in the woods. But yeah, we're gonna find our final required Robot Master fight for 100%. So this stage is gonna make use of a lot of weaponry. Of course, you're gonna use the blast missiles to destroy that block before the actual beetle tank does. And there we get our final plate, our C plates. So there we go. That's our requirement for our plates. But now we're gonna do our final requirement for Robot Masters, which is Honey Woman. And the inspiration for Honey Woman is the initial beta Mega Man 9 concept. Well, the Mega Man 9 concept for Hornet Man. Of course, Honey Woman came first, but then was changed to Hornet Man. That the weakness is fire, so insert fire breath, and there you go.
Fortunately, I've played a lot of Mega Man 9 in my day.
You should have. You have seen quite a bit.
Oh god, this place is making me nervous. I'm gonna take it a little bit safe here.
4 caterpillars, they can actually morph into moths that will chase you down, and they are relentless. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how to navigate the area.
Oh, I missed the shot. Gotta love Soul Trap.
Yeah, Beetle Lady is weak to the Soul Trap, in which you can actually use her weapon against her. So the drones that she fires, you can actually capture them with the Soul Trap. The Soul Trap on its own is not that much of a weakness weapon. It'll do 2 damage to Beetle Lady on its own, but when you encase a enemy, it gets empowered, and when it's empowered, when it hits, it does massive damage.
Oh man. Now the hard part starts.
But yeah, okay, so we got 2 out of the 3 requirements for 100% done. You got all the letter plates, in which the C is the final one, which powers up the Buster. And you got all 4 Robot Masters, kidnapped Robot Masters saved. And now we reach the end game. Of course, now we start with going back to the little building that we saw in the intro stage. But this is going to be one of the more interesting stages, because now you're going to actually be forced to play as both Mega Man and Roll in these stages. First, since you start with Roll, you're going to be doing Roll's areas first. But by the time you actually get to where the boss is, Roll actually gets captured.
Yeah,
and in order to
they force you to play as Mega Man all of a sudden.
It's Mega Man Rock and Roll. You gotta put in Mega Man somewhere in here. You've been playing this role the whole time. You gotta allow Rock to rock his stuff at some point.
And speaking of rock and roll, I just kind of wanted to share an unfortunate personal story. Recently, my girlfriend left me because of my obsession with Linkin Park, but in the end, it doesn't even matter.
Oh my god.
Oh, that joke left me crawling in my skin.
I blame me messing up that section on Handsome Jack, by the way. Oh, I missed.
This will not heal. but seriously, kind of missed the extra hit there. One of the things that makes this roll going first much more useful is that when you're going into that boss gate, Mega Man can actually get an extra hit on that eye with a diagonal Soul Trap. Sosa kind of missed it, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter all that much. So I see you too, which is actually it is literally this guy's name. You got you gotta use blast missile. Blast missile just tear this guy apart. But the weird thing about this, his iframes are so weird. You're really not sure sometimes if you're actually hitting or you're actually hitting iframes. But regardless of the matter, Sozeman got it done, and now we're going to the meat and potatoes of the whole thing. This is why you need for 100% to save all 4 robot masters before this point. You can go back and get the remaining robot masters, but you will lose all your progress in the Wily stages if you do. So the dynamic for the Wily stages is that you get your general set of stages for the Wily stages, but they're split between Roll stages and Mega Man stages. For this stage, you are forced to play as Mega Man for this stage. So for this stage, Shield Bubble is your best friend in this stage. You're going to be seeing Sozeman use a lot of Shield Bubble for a majority of the stage. And for a part of the stage, Soul Trap is going to be very king. And once again, Mega Man 4 references abound. We got a stage full of mechs. So guess what the end boss is going to be in this one? And actually, this one's gonna be a little interesting. And no, it's not gonna be a big Med Daddy, but it's gonna be some. It's gonna be a little bit close. So yeah, this is why we need to save our robot master friends. They actually assist you in these Wily stages, as you can see in this particular Wily stage. Honey Woman is gonna help you out, and in these particular stages, there are gonna be some structures, some machinery that you're gonna be needing to destroy. So this is the third major requirement for getting 100%. So once we see Sozeman get here, these are locks. These locks not only help you out in stages later on in the Wily stages. These locks are going to be very important after you beat the 4th Wily stage. There are 4 locks. 4 locks are going to be required to be held with a Robot Master on the side. And you're going to be using those to get a little bit of a special thing as the Wily stages continue. So, once again, the final stretch, the sea full of mess, they actually slow down your movements. And this is a very tight slide. Well through. That particular crusher is the casual player's worst nightmare. And speaking of casual player's worst nightmare,
oh my god,
have fun with arguably the worst boss in the entire game. The Mag Grabber. It has a very small hitbox. It's invulnerable just about everywhere except for his eyes, and his weakness is the Soul Trap, which is a very interesting weapon. When powered up, you can fire it in all 8 directions, but it depends on where you hit the hitbox. And hitting the hitbox of the powered up Soul Trap is very, very convoluted. You can hit them in corners, you can hit them on the side, and sometimes it just goes in a direction that you don't want it to go. It's one of the roughest fights, weakness-wise and concept-wise. But you survived this, Sos.
All I want to be at the end of that fight is alive. that went badly, actually, but I managed to recover it.
So, second, this is our role-centric level, the power supply. You're going to be seeing Sozeman I was going to say avoid these spikes, but people are kind of proving me wrong just a little bit.
That was intentional, right? That's what we're supposed to do.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
That was RNG manip.
But yeah, once again, Beat gets a lot of use to try to negate some of these platformers, as some of the classic Mega Man community says. If we got a weapon or utility that does so, say no to platforming. But yeah, Beat pretty much gets his shine here. So you're gonna be seeing Beat just ignore some of these platforming, even those levers. If you know Super Mario World lore, it's one of those platforms where if you stand on one platform, the other platform rises up. and of course time bombs because why not? But yeah, pretty much role centric stages you're gonna be seeing a lot of beat uses because beat is that strong. But now we're about to go into the segment where we're gonna get our robot master helper. This time it's Daggerman, and Daggerman is gonna allow us to teleport throughout all these obstacles in order to get to our second lock. And at this point, we probably could have a quick time for a donation. So HJA, if you please, if we do.
No new donations yet. However, I just want to remind everybody that we do have a lot of donation incentives. We have name wars going on, so make sure to check out those incentives and bid wars. Continue to donate, continue to support the cause. This has been a great run to watch so far. And as usual, I'm gonna end with a quick question for you, Creed. What does Axl Rose call his favorite tea?
Black
The
Rose?
answer is sweet chiomine.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
Big Bull, ladies and gentlemen. Watch it quickly because it's about to die very, very fast. I'm just gonna let Sozeman just show it off on his own.
There we go.
Yeah, a little bit of a quote-unquote Easter egg for here. The actual weakness is the Desert Storm. The gimmick of this bite is that after a set amount of damage, the big bulb ejects you out. But with the charged laser, you can actually overcharge the big bulb, and it pretty much instant kills them. Also, to answer a question in chat about the optional areas, the optional areas are just that, they're optional. They're not required to beat the game, but if you want at the very least the good ending, you need to do these stages in order to get those locks and do a little bit of an extra thing that's coming up a little later, since that is going to be required for the 100%.
This level
Anyway.
is my arch nemesis.
I thought the next level would be, but
No, it's this one.
But yeah, this stage is a pretty treacherous stage, especially in the beginning. This stage uses a lot of destroyable exploding boxes over pits, and it gets really hectic by the second checkpoint, I mean. And as we're gonna see if Sozeman can take care of the area as clean as possible.
I knew
or
it!
at least as
I
safe
knew
as.
it! I knew it! Drops always get me there. That's why this stage is my arch nemesis.
Yeah, it's an arch nemesis of many Mega Man players. The weapon drop that's basically just negates any kind of input you try to do, be it a slide, a jump, or a shot. It's one of the things that I wish was removed from any and all future Mega Man games. But alas, it is what it is.
Alright, we're gonna leave time for Fireman here. I'm notorious for sliding through and skipping the Fireman section and ruining the run here.
So yeah, Fireman section is an area that is mostly in complete darkness as long as Fireman is on. If Fireman's not around, it's always complete darkness. You can use the exploding lights to light your way. You can also use charged laser to light the way as well. But the thing about this, you can leave Fireman literally in the dust, and you can just do the lock as all by yourself if you want to. Fireman is just needed to unlock the area. And now for this area, very solid work. That is a very, very big choke point for many a gamer. Speed and casual. Shout out to Mega Man 11 with the anti-Eddie. And shout outs to Mega Man 1. Because if you played Mega Man 1 at least one time, this area is going to look very familiar. And by process of elimination and association, you can probably guess what boss is going to be. Sadly, we do not have Gus Bloss to do any dupes here. So actually, I would say this is probably one of the general best Wily fights in the entire game. The CWU-02P is a fight that has 7 phases. It has lots of weaknesses, but the one that's easier to guess is the Snow Roller / Blast Mister combo. which you can say is kind of like Metroid S for the Metroids, Ice Beam and then Super Missiles. But yeah, with that combination, you use Buster to mash it out. You can also use a combination of Desert Storm and Charge Laser to help not only get rid of the mines that surround the bubble, but also use Charge Laser to tack in some damage. And now a stage that is near and dear to my heart for multiple reasons. My general favorite speed stage and in a stage that quickly grew on me. This stage, if you saw the Wally select, yeah, this is a very, very special stage. This is one of the stages that has a crap ton of gimmicks, but for the first first half of the stage, this stage involves a lot of wraparounds. There are literally 0 death pits in this. Well, no, I won't say that. But at least for this part, there are 0 death pits in the stage. All the instant death traps are all spikes, and you're using a lot of vertical and horizontal wraparound to navigate the area. And this stage is our general Yoku block area.
Ooh! Oh, controller! No, don't! Ah, controller died again. Great, that's what I want.
But yeah, this stage is another one of those very notorious stages because it has so many gimmicks to it, and even you see there are devils, there are mini devils, there are Yoku blocks. This part of the stage wraps around throughout the entire area. This stage is pretty much a gimmick fest, and the gimmicks does not end. You can see the Devil Carousel, which you can shoot to get by the shadows, but at this point, they will regenerate and cause contact damage again. And now here's our 4th and final Robot Master section for our 4th and final lock. Skullman is used to pretty much keep you safe from the yellow mini Yoku, not Yoku, but Devil Eyes, while you destroy the larger green eyes that get shorter. And there's our 4th lock, and there's our next requirement for 100% completed, all the locks destroyed. And now for our next gimmick. Basically reverse gravity, instead of you being upside down, everything else is upside down. And it's gonna be that way for the remainder of the stage. So once again, you gotta do a lot of precision platforming, very good damage boost to start on the spikes.
Yep.
And now for a very, very rough final stretch where you gotta deal with these retractable spikes that you see throughout the stage, our Sniper Joes, our Boo. I keep saying Boo carousels because they remind me so much of the Boo carousels for Super Mario World. But yeah, a long stretch towards our boss. So you see Yokus, you see devils. Say hello to their love child, the Yoku Devil. So you think it's scary, it's a Yoku fight over pets, but fortunately, thanks to the gimmick that we've seen before, yeah, it's actually no pets at all. I said no death pets. The stage actually wraps around. So this fight is actually very forgiving for what it could be.
For real.
In a very solid fight using the weakness, which is Fire Breath. Very well done.
Oh boy, here we go.
And now, for the piece de resistance of 100%. This is why you need to save the Robot Masters. This is why the Robot Masters are here to destroy the 4 locks. At the very beginning of the intro, Proto Man got captured. So once you get those 4 locks, once you defeat those Robot Masters, you get an extra stage for Proto Man. So Proto Man is pretty much all that he is. Proto Man got his trusty Buster and his trusty shield, and that's all you got. Ooh. So in this stage can be particularly brutal. This is the optional brutal stage that you can do. even if you say Proto Man, there is an option that you can just keep going and not worry about the stage. But if you do so, you technically get the bad ending in this game. This is the sole requirement for good ending. You need to go through this stage, which has a lot of Mega Man 1 influences throughout the entire stage. But this stage is a lengthy and pretty brutal stretch with Joe's single platforms, Gutsman platforms. It's a very, very taxing stage, especially if you're playing it for the first time. Seeing Sozeman going through these areas with the eggs, the Gutsman blocks. Overall, a pretty solid run, but yeah, this stage is really, really lengthy. So this is a marathon stage, and as a marathon stage, it has the marathon fight to boot with it. So like I said, this has a lot of Mega Man 1 vibes, particularly Mega Man 1's Wily 2. You're gonna see that in its level design in a few seconds. But yeah, if you know Mega Man 1 stage design, you should have a very good idea what the boss is going to be. However, there are going to be a little bit of a interesting instance.
Gonna play it safe here.
So, just like in Mega Man 1 Wily 2, you could be fighting the copy robots. So Mega Man is pretty simple. He's gonna fire 3 shots. He got his charge shot. He's gonna have instances where he slides. There he goes. And it's pretty much simple. This is a very simple pattern. He almost can reflect it. Didn't mention that Proto Man can reflect shots. But when you defeat the Mega Man form, now you gotta defeat the roll copy. The roll copy is kind of similar to Mega Man, but it does utilize the double jump in the meat to try to bait you into doing some false movements, some false shots. But if you recognize the pattern, this is another simplistic, easy fight. All of these fights are pattern based. And you get a third one to boot. This fight is a 3-stage gauntlet pitting all 3 characters at you. And this is after a marathon of a stage. This is where the stage just kind of just throws everything but the kitchen sink at you.
Wow.
Fortunately, Proto Man is also a very pattern-based fight. If you recognize the pattern, you can dodge it very easily. And there we go.
Wow, what a fight. Great job so far. I did want to thank Kaiser Dragon for their donation of $7.70. $7.77. Thank you so much. Let's keep the donations going. Great job so far. And quick question for you, Creed. What makes pirates such good singers? It's because they can hit the high seas.
Can we get AJ out for hosting duty, please? But nah, seriously. For the next Wily stage, you're seeing the benefits of having all the captured robot masters not fought early and freed. Normally, if you were to not fight these guys, you would have been able to fight all 4 of them in these mini sections. In Mega Man's side, you would have to face Fireman and Honey Woman. And it's safe to say, on Rose side, since you know the gimmick of this, you will be fighting Daggerman and Skullman in these in this section if you didn't free them. But fortunately, Sozeman did free them. They fought him earlier, so these fights are completely gone. And all you do is just have like these little enemies that symbolize where these robot masters would have been. Also, thanks to having these locks picked throughout the entire stage, you get some of these little goodies along the way, thanks to having these locks unlocked. So you should be good on energy, lives, weapon ammo, because of course, weapon ammos, they do transfer throughout the Wily stages, so you gotta know how to conserve your energy. So naturally, these are your refights. But these refights are kind of a little different compared to your general ways of doing it as your typical Mega Man refights. These Robot Master refights are actually separated between rock and roll.
I got the glitch.
Oh, the Doom. Yeah. If you get stuck by the Desert Storm as you defeat Doom Woman, Mega Man does get zipped by the momentum of the Desert Storm. But yeah, these refights are balanced between rock and roll, and this is why the W team that we got from Missile Man is important, because you will not have enough energy, at least in Mega Man's case, to defeat specific Robot Masters, especially Polar Woman. Polar Woman, you will not, under normal circumstances, you would not have enough weapon ammo to do this, but thanks to the W tank, and also thanks to having the locks unlocked, you will have enough weapon ammo to take that fight down. But of course, I'm kind of speaking in 80% terms on that. You'll normally use the W tank at that fight, but Sozeman probably use the W tank elsewhere to help with other circumstances. But you would definitely be using the W tank here if you run low on weapon ammo.
This is where I normally use it.
So yeah, the concept, I'm gonna say this first, because you fought Proto Man early in the optional stage, this is also the stage where you will fight Proto Man, as he will be reprogrammed and you will be forced to fight him. This is one of the main benefits of 100%. This 100% would just makes this a general 8 robot boss rush. If you do not save any of the robot masters, if you do not save Proto Man, this is a 13 robot master gauntlet of a Wily state. So yeah, having these extra fights done is pretty beneficial to going through 100%. It makes this stage a little bit more tolerable. So we got one more robot master gone. And like I said, after this fight, you will normally fight Proto Man after this fight, but after this, you would just go to the next stage. However, there's a little caveat to this. The thing about it is, the robot master, the character that you feed the last robot master is, they will be captured. So you see Mega Man, say goodbye to him. And you will go to the final stage as Roll. So you would be doing a final platforming segment with Roll before you go to this little area, which is our final stage here, en route to the Wily machine fight. So yeah, just a little bit, some extra maneuvering. Very short stage, not much to talk about here. However, I was hoping you'd do this. A little extra area here. Gonna get this extra W tank for safety.
Oh, I should have refilled reactor. Oh well.
But yeah, this is probably one of the most interesting concepts of a Wily machine fight ever. They're gonna be swapping between Mega Man and Roll throughout the entire fight. So once the character that you play, you're gonna be shooting the little lights. It's gonna open the eye on the opposite character's end, and you're gonna be using that in order to let the other character shoot that eye.
Oh no!
And yeah, the eye and the gates that are keeping the eyes open are on a timer, so you need to shoot them and destroy them quickly. Charge laser is the weakness for that. This one is one of the phases that trip a lot of runners, because it's a weakness. While it's clever, it's not very obvious. So the bombs that are dropped, that is actually a hatch you can shoot a lot of beetles in, and you can see in the windows, the beetles are piling up. And when you explode, the beetles fly out. A little bit of a cosmetic visual touch, one that I actually like. So, time, we're about to hit the final fight. Time does end on the final hit.
Ah! No!
So
Stop being mean!
So you swap between rock and roll throughout this fight. Shield bubble makes this fight pretty much trivial.
Wow.
Sozeman will let us know when time is up.
He's not being nice right now.
Yeah, these purple shots and these circular shots, those
That's
are
time.
stuff you don't.
Time.
Those are shots that you really don't want to see, but yeah, overall pretty solid one. You see, this is the sound of your popping. Very well done.
Well done. Excellent run. That was awesome.
Oh, and
And
if we
there's a
could,
reward for being Proto Man. Proto Man stopping Wally from doing his usual escape.
also want to request if we can stick through the credits. There's something very, very special about the ending of this game. But yeah, this is Mega Man Rock and Roll. This is a fan game. It's totally free. Just Google Mega Man Rock and Roll. You can find it, download it, play it for free. It's really fun. It is really tough. I don't know if I made it look easy, but it was not easy. I was on the edge of my seat the whole time.
You definitely made it look easy. That was an awesome run. Thank you so much.
Yeah, just let the credits roll just for a little bit, if you don't mind, unless we're behind schedule.
I finished a few minutes before schedule, before time, so I think we should be good.
Yeah, seeing a little bit of catch up here. Shout out to Splash Woman cameo. Actually, if you go to Tideman stage and use the shield bubble at the very start of the stage, you will find Splash Woman doing a little siren song. And if you go through the area, I'll let you find that out for yourselves. Polar Woman teaching firemen the fine arts of ice skating.
Yeah, a lot of cute stuff in the credits.
Yeah, a little bit of where they are now. Even Skullman holding Kalinka's hand, who has aged up, by the way. A little bit of a sweet nod to a lot of things. Drake Man doing some work here.
I like this one.
Yeah, this is one of the best ones. If he just stayed put.
What?
Also, yeah, maybe I had a little bit to do with the game. Just a smidge.
LV Creed, who's that guy?
Yeah, I was brought in at the final months before the game release and did a little bit of play testing on this game. Very fun experience. Never did play testing before. Kind of a unique experience.
There's a special message coming up here that I would like everyone to see.
Is it thanks for playing?
That's it. Pretty much the culmination of years and years of general gaming and inspired by one's father. You really. That's how heartfelt this game is. It's pretty much the culmination of all those memories, and I'm glad to even be a part of it. But seriously, that's it. That's rock and roll in a nutshell. Hopefully, you take some time to at least look it up. It is a daunting game, but it's a very rewarding game. So, Sozeman, thank you for running this game. Thank you for letting me commentate this, and it's been, as always, it's been a blast.
Yeah, I'm always happy to show this game to people who have not seen it. It really is special. It's made as good as, if not better, than most of the classic Mega Man games out there. So it deserves your time if you like Mega Man games.
And I think that pretty much closes us out. If you got any final things, I think we just put it back to HJA and we'll continue on with the rest of Slurpathon 7.
All right, thank you, Jack. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Awesome run. Awesome game. Everyone stay tuned. We have a lot more Slurpathon 7 coming at you. Remember to keep donating and let's meet some of these incentives.